talking about how there would still be loopholes in a draft if Congress were to implement it. But since the only bill currently being debated, specifically calls for no loopholes.
Let's be realistic here. Charlie Rangel's bill may be the only bill on the table, but he also didn't vote for
talking about then.
Charlie Rangel didn't vote for his own bill. I mean, we can talk about any number of drafts we've ever implemented. We can talk about the draft during World War II.
Well, that was back in 2002.
The draft during
and back in 2002, there was not a necessary threat to national security that would override concerns about there being a draft. And now there is. There's a threat in Iraq, Afghanistan.
Back in 2002 was post-September 11th, so clearly there was a national security.
We weren't muddled over Iraq, and our troops weren't overstretched to the point that we are now. Can I ask you a question?
Actually, you talked about in your first speech that there was no money for the all-volunteer army. But if there's no money for the all-volunteer army, then how in the world are we going to pay for a draft?
Well, I mean, as the Wall Street Journal of November 25, 2006 points out, the all-volunteer force has a lot more unpaid retirement benefits that they have to go for. Since the draft since people will only be involved in the draft for 2 years at most under Congressman Rangel's plan, we're seeing that we're not going to need those long-term retirement benefits.
So draftees would be seen as cheap labor now? They're no
In fact, what we're doing is because employers value military service so much, we're seeing that these draftees, though initially opposed to serving in the draft, in the end they will walk away better. It's as if when our parents send us to RMA, we don't want to come at first, but in the end we walk away better because of it.
I have a question about the sons and daughters of congressmen argument. You claim that the congressmen would be unaffected in their decisions about a war if there was a draft because their sons and daughters would not be in the draft because of these loopholes to speak of. However, the sons and daughters are not really what matters here as much as the constituents.
But these congressmen honestly listen to their constituents when they're not being elected here.
But they are being elected. Congressmen are put up for election every 2 years. So that means
actually
they have to listen.
Senators are put up for election every 6 years.
That senator is different than a representative. Representatives such as Charlie Rangel have to, every 2 years, to respond to their constituency. Well, okay. Since fairness is kind of fallen off the table, as we've shown, there's sort of been a wash there.
Fairness is your own criteria.
If you wash out your own criteria, you have no way to decide.
Because that is essentially more national security. Okay, we can go back to fairness then. Now, since you've said yourself the all-volunteer force is already unfair, and we've shown that if you stepped up recruiting, then we would have more disproportionate minorities and more from the lower class, more from the middle class, and none from the upper class. How does that make the draft more unfair? Isn't it better that we have a draft that draws equally and spreads the burden among society instead of just select few?
Women cannot even be able to be drafted.
Yes, they can. Under Congress's plan, they can.
And 1 minute final focus. No prep time is remaining on either team.
Judges ready?
Yes.
What this debate ultimately boils down to is a question of our national security, and we have shown in 2 key ways that the pro team will improve our national security, while the con fails to do that. The military draft is the best way to improve our national security, and has overridden anything that our opponents have said for 2 reasons. First, we see that we will be involved in fewer wars, and second, we will see that we have a more effective military, and we'll be able to end wars quickly. But as for having fewer wars, we see that because of civic engagement, because citizens are involved in their community, because congressmen will have children and their own constituents serving in the military, they will be more opposed to unnecessary wars, and they will not be as willing to pursue conflicts that do not make sense to improve our national security. But more importantly, we will have a more effective military, which is what is really at the heart of this debate. We will have a military that is effective enough to go into conflicts and actually win them. And if another conflict arises in the near future, we will have the military capacity to ensure that we will be a secure country. And because of all these reasons, we must ask for a pro ballot.
And for the con.
Judges ready?
Yes.
What this debate really boils down to is that our opponents haven't even met their own criteria on fairness for their own debate. They did. The draft itself would be more unfair than the all-volunteer army itself would be. The all-volunteer army, sure, is not completely fair, but a draft completely excludes women and homosexuals, which leads to loopholes in the draft. Homosexuals, they out and declare that they are homosexual, and they no longer have to be drafted, and they no longer have any reason. They now have more reasons to find loopholes. So, and congressmen's sons and daughters can, even if they are drafted, can be placed on small, softer positions, such as National Guard, or as Al Gore did as a journalist. So there are loopholes that are in this system. So for all these reasons, I must strongly urge a negative ballot. Thank you.
Thank you.